Swim check 1, 2. Bike check 1, 2. Run check 1, 2. I think we're ready. Let's try this. Welcome to the Try Beginner's Luck podcast, a podcast where we explore the sport of triathlon from a variety of perspectives to help beginner triathletes on their journey. I am your host, Michanda Shines. Well, welcome back to another edition of Try Beginner's Luck. It is February 29th. Okay, not really, but this is going to air on February 29th, the last day of Black History Month, which we got an extra date. So I figured I'm going to give you a bonus episode. And this bonus episode is of a newbie. So the history behind this person, we go way back to the highest of 7 hills on the campus of Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. What? Yes. And if you know, on yesterday, we have a current professor who's currently on FAMU's campus who's teaching. His name is Clement Allen. So I figured, why not continue the FAMU party? Right? Yes. So this lovely guest that I am so graced to have on the podcast, we came in together, and I won't say what year because that doesn't matter because we're still young and we look good. Okay. All right. 2, it was at Delmo Sports, Philly Women's Triathlon. Mind you, I had no idea that she was interested in doing triathlons. All right. So imagine my excitement, perhaps tears fell. I'm at the pool using the bathroom for probably the 30th time. And Tisa Holly, if you remember Tisa, she was on our first season as one of the newbies. And she saw me and was like, "You know who's here doing this race?" I was like, no, I'm in the, want to use the bathroom. Yeah. And when she told me, I was like, not Attayah Ali. Because I know people's married names. So I'm like, Attayah's here. Oh my God, Attayah. And then I go like berserk. So Attayah is also very special because she is my big sister in the greatest chapter, in the greatest sorority, but chapter is the Beta Alpha chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. She's my big sister, and I am excited to welcome Attayah Ali Milton. I'm getting emotional, to the podcast. Welcome to Try Beginner's Luck, Attayah. How you doing?
Hi, Michanda. I'm doing really well. Thank you.
Oh, this is so good. I think I'm bringing back those same emotions from the race day where it was just like, wow, you are here. And it's so good to see another pretty girl out here trying. I love it. And
Oh,
I
it made
love
my
you,
whole
of course.
experience to see you. It was amazing.
Oh my gosh. So I tell you, I didn't know that you were trying in these streets. What happened? When?
No, it's really random. So I in 2023 realized that a part of my journey and my growth, we go through different seasons, that I was entering my season of me. I had been married for 10 years, well, almost 10 years, and had 2 children. And I found a way of like prioritizing what needed to be done, everybody else. So after going through a divorce and really trying to figure out kind of what this next chapter was going to look like, I realized a part of that was I had to figure out what's important to me and start doing the things that I love. And doing a triathlon was always on my bucket list. I like many people, went out of shape during the pandemic, and so when I decided I wanted to do these things for me, I said I wanted to put the try on there and just jump and do it. And so it was a part of me kind of like reclaiming things that are completely selfish to really jumpstart my journey back into like good health. But I grew up swimming, grew up biking, and being an athlete. So putting them together was always something I wanted to do.
Wow. I think the pandemic messed so many people up in the sense of you kind of had to lose in order to regain and didn't realize what isolation did to so many people and how so many people in that instance were disconnected because it's as if we've lived 15 years of life in just 4 years now.
It was madness, girl. Like, honestly, I'm grateful for it. I am grateful for it because I feel like it brought family back together. It allowed me to really appreciate and value like time and proximity and peace and, the stillness that the pandemic brought us. So I am grateful for it. But that isolation, I mean, we were just kind of, you know, eating and being isolated, and I wanted to be active, and so yeah, I mean, once we were outside again, that's what I was ready to do, be outside.
Let's be outside then. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I like Googled it, Michanda. Like, it's not like I had my eyes set on this for a long time. I Googled it. I didn't know anybody that was doing it. I just said, this is what I'm gonna do. And part of the steps, so we talked a little bit about me being Muslim, but there Ramadan occurred, and in Ramadan, like I was really trying to like center myself during the fast and really pray for certain things. So when I came out of Ramadan, I had my sights set on, okay, now it's time to train. Now it's time to get ready for July.
So we had that conversation independently of the podcast. So yes, that's another, I guess, facet of Attayah is she is a Muslim woman. And what we were talking about is I was letting her know about Khadijah Diggs, who is also a Muslim woman in the triathlon space. And Khadijah wears a hijab. And I was like, but you don't wear that. And I remember in college, at some point you did wear it and sometimes you didn't wear it. And so I was asking her, I was like, you know, and I didn't even know how to say it. I was like, so are you, I don't know, because you're right. I didn't know if you were still practicing the Muslim faith and wanted to know because I was like, well, why don't you wear your hijab? And
Hmm.
so if you could go ahead and share since you brought it up, let's
Yeah.
just invite everybody into the convo.
So we were talking about it because, if for Muslims who are athletes that do cover, the covering and having something that's appropriate that won't hinder your competition is really important. But you were saying like I didn't have that consideration because I don't cover my hair. So I'm by no means an expert on religion, theology, Islam at all. But I do honor women that do cover it because it is not an easy, feat. But when I observe prayer, when I go in Islamic settings, of course, I dress more conservatively, which involves covering my hair. But day to day, I don't. And when you look at Muslims around the world, there is a, spectrum, right, of how Muslims look and dress, and show up. So not everybody that is Muslim, not all Muslim women do cover their hair. And so I don't, but I have been Muslim my entire life. In college, I felt like I personally reached like a vanity place and I wasn't getting a class on time because my hair had to be done, my makeup had to be done. And so for me during that time, I chose to cover my hair because I did not want to be vain. And I really wanted to kind of, I just wanted to cover it. I wanted to cover that and focus on being present. And so I think for 6 months to a year, I think for my last few months that I was in college, I did cover my hair until I graduated.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you for explaining that because I think that's so important to know because we want to offer respect to however a person wants to honor what they believe in and how they receive that. So thank you for sharing that with us and giving us the full spectrum of it. But You mean to tell me you ain't know nobody was doing
I
triathlons,
didn't.
Attayah?
No, I didn't, and so, I didn't wanna be talked out of it,
Mhm.
and I wasn't a traditional trainer, like, I really like, I just I didn't re I went online, I found it,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Okay, well, this is a sprint, right? I've done a 5K before, so I can run a 5K, I could bike 9 miles, and I can swim." So, my training consisted of when I took the kids to the pool over the summertime, I would just swim. I wasn't really timing myself because my goal was to finish, Michanda. So
Yeah.
I would just swim for, 20 minutes continuously or 15. And I was like, okay, well, I have pretty decent endurance. Like, I could do it. The biking piece was the hardest for me because I hadn't been on a bike for years. So when I turned 40, I bought a bike, but did not use the bike until I started training for this triathlon. But no, I never reached out to anybody. I think because I've always wanted to do things and then I'll quit. So I just wanted to kind of like tell people I'm doing it and just do it. I didn't want to be training on anybody else's schedule. I didn't want to feel inadequate because I wasn't training enough. I just wanted to be committed to doing
Fair.
it.
Because I'm thinking about like Reggie Harris, who does triathlons, and all the people in our circle. But you also
You
know, huh?
and you.
Well, you just said you know nobody. So that's why I was kind
I,
of like confused.
I didn't know anyone that I knew was doing this
Oh, this
race.
particular race. See, that's why we need to get clarity because
Yeah, I'm
the
sorry.
people in
No,
the streets will be like, how Michanda gonna be this advocate for
no,
people
I
trying
knew.
beginner's luck and she didn't even know you was doing you was a triathlete. I
No,
was like,
I
just
did know you were a
clarity.
triathlete. I didn't know who was,
Doing the
going
race.
to be competing at that race. That's what I meant. I had no idea I was gonna see you in Philly. I had no idea I was gonna see Tisa in Philly, so
Right.
made it that much sweeter. But yeah, I
It
did know that
did.
you were.
And you're right. I didn't advertise. I've stopped advertising which races I'm doing. And I think I needed a personal moment as well. So yes, I did not advertise. And I respect your decision not to advertise as well, because I think sometimes that can get unfocused and people are asking you, how's it going? What you doing? Da da da. And you may not be ready to talk about it.
I was a bad I would say, don't do as I did because I don't think I went about it. Like I told my girlfriends in like the chat group, they knew I was doing it. And my line sisters would check on me, how's training going and everything. I wasn't doing
Mhm.
anything, I was, enjoying my life. But
Yeah.
I did finish and
Yeah,
I
you
had
did.
some valuable lessons because you taught me when I told you, well, we can talk about that later, but when I started cramping up and seizing up, thought I was going to finish, you were like, oh, hydration is more than water. Well, of course, that was a lesson I should have known, but I was just drinking water. So when my body started cramping up, it was a hot mess. So I would love to share that hydration is more than water for anybody that is
Feeling some type of
considering.
way with how you said that. Like I said it so prissy. Hydration is more than water. I'm in my feels right
No,
now. Okay.
it was eye-opening, like, I didn't know what you meant, and you told me, like, the schedule of how 2 weeks before I really needed to start. I
Yeah.
know now. Yeah.
So I think hydration is one of those things, and just nutrition in general is one of those things that a lot of beginners don't know. And why should you? Right? Well, you should, hopefully, because we are talking about these things not only here at the Try Beginner's Luck, but also with Ask a Coach, where we can submit questions in to get your questions answered so that you can be more informed before going out there before your first race. And so, to that point, let's talk about your first race so you can tell beginners exactly everything from the moment of you training for the race, which we already talked about. You were training in your independent silo to actual crossing the finish line. I want to know about everything in between, and I'll just stop and interject when I want to be like, I have a question about this. So you've decided, let's paint the picture. You've decided you wanted to do this race. You've picked Delmo Philly Tri. Why? Because you live in Philly, it's in Philly, it's local, you don't have to do much traveling. And when did you start training? How far in advance did you start training for the race? And what did your training regimen look like?
So I probably started training about 3 months out. Um, I picked this try also because it was a pool swim. I felt very
Mm.
comfortable in a pool versus being in a, lake or a large body of water.
Mhm.
Um, so that was a selection. I went on and kind of Googled different blogs to read about, the experience. What kind of gear would I need? I didn't understand how the transition worked. I didn't even know about like the order that I was going to be completing each event. So I just did, a cursory search to just try to understand the transition, and
Mhm.
then maybe read some testimonials of women's experience with this specific try.
Mhm.
I had a bike, so I took my bike. I mean, it had been in like maybe for 2 years, it had been in storage. So I had to take my bike to get it tuned up, but I had forgotten even how to switch gears. So I went to the Trek store and just had them kind of go through the gears with me and just did sample rides just so I could get accustomed to like clickety clicking and all this stuff. So I just went out on paths solo dolo and just tried to get comfortable with switching the gears and the strides and going up hills, but none of my rides had a major incline. That is where my butt got kicked. So so that's what I did in terms of riding, but I didn't ride that much, but I knew that that was going to be my weakest event.
Mhm.
So maybe the night. So I ordered all the stuff off Amazon, what I was gonna wear, all these different things so I could have my system. I read how to pack your bag. I read how to lay, your stuff out in transition so that when you come in. Um, so when I get there, I, checked in and I just kind of wanted to get my nerves, out. So when it came time to line up for the pool, that's when I saw you. And I don't think I was nervous because I felt the strongest at swimming. And it really was just up and back, 6 times. I think it was pretty good. And my goal was not to my goal wasn't time. My goal was finishing. That was the only goal that I had for myself, was to finish. So I
Mhm.
just kind of looked at how people were swimming and pacing themselves, and I ended up moving myself to a more competitive group that I felt that could swim at my pace. So I swam. I remember in the pool feeling my foot cramp up. So my right foot started like cramping a little bit. So when I got out, I remember seeing my kids and my mom, and I just tried to like run it off. So when I got to transition, Michanda, I didn't know you're supposed to like speed in and speed out. I kind of was just going, getting my stuff, taking it off, putting my socks on, like all that stuff. And then I got out. So the ride was cool until the very end. There was like this incline. I had not trained on any inclines. That incline really activated my muscles right above my kneecap. And that's when I really started feeling like muscle strain. Okay. So I had to push. Now, luckily, I didn't stop. I never got off my bike. Like I stayed on the whole time. So I'm feeling great. Like 2 events in, I have successfully completed, not the fastest, but I'm in there. Right. So when it came time for the run, I'm feeling that muscle right above my kneecap. And I am maybe a mile into the run, and my legs were like tip drilling, like locked, right? And I'm in my mind, because I believe in mind over matter, girl. I'm like, I just can't stop. Because if I stop, I might not, So in my mind, like I'm running, but my body is like my legs are about to shut all the way down. So they have these like photographers that are like positioned. So I would like fake it, like I'm running, for the pictures. But girl, my legs were not cooperating. Did you see me when I was out there, Michelle? When I was locking up?
No, I didn't see you until the end.
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
So people are running by me that I know. Again, I saw people out there that I knew I didn't know were running, and they're yelling things to me like, she needs Gatorade. There was no greater level of like sisterhood and camaraderie that I had seen in sports ever. There were women whose spouses were running alongside with their children. There were people that brought me Gatorade, would run ahead, bring things to me. There were women that were encouraging me to keep going. There was a woman that was a physical therapist that ran alongside me to tell me what stretches that I should do to try to help me keep going. But at some point, this woman came with mustard packets, and she was like, "Just take mustard pack." She could have been giving me anything at that point. So I popped that mustard packet, and it probably gave me another half a mile without instantly, girl, mustard packet. So I will always run with mustard packets. And then when it happened again, she came back with like this little tablet of whites, questionable something. And she was like, just take it with some water. It was, I guess, salt. It was a little capsule of salt. So she said. And I popped the salt, and then that also helps me. But my body needed more than water. The water, because I had my canteens. So it was more than water that I needed, to your point. And so the last few yards, my son found me and ran alongside me and ran through the finish line with me. And so I made it, girl. But that was it. I was done, done, done.
Find so much humor in hearing the story because the part where you say people were handing you stuff, substances that could or could might not have been what they really said they were supposed to be. And all I kept thinking about is, Michanda, you've had moments like that where you've taken stuff from people and thank God you didn't die. Thank God you didn't have something
Thank
worse
God
happen.
she wasn't handing me some crack cocaine.
Hello?
But I was struggling so bad, and she had this little Ziploc bag, girl.
And I've done it to other people. I've been like, here, take this. And people take it because you're in that much pain at that time. And all you want is just relief so that you can finish, go to the end. Like
Yeah.
that's the only thing you want. You just want to go to the end. And so I definitely relate to this story so much because I've been in situations where I've been in races where cramps can have you on the ground, like just on the ground, hurting until you get what you need. And that's the beauty of this sport. Like you mentioned that this particular race was one of the greatest exhibits of sisterhood that you've seen as an athlete. And I would say yes, but I also say that's the power of this sport. Triathlon is a very friendly sport in the sense that if you need something and someone has it on the course and they can have the wherewithal to give it to you and spare it, it's yours. And that's what I appreciate about this sport is that you're never alone, even though you have to try alone, if that makes sense. So it's like you always have little angels coming up giving you what you need at the very right time until you learn how to properly
Prepare yourself.
train and prepare yourself. And that it takes time. It really is an art. It isn't science. You what works for you on a short course may not work for you when you elevate and go to the Olympic distance. That might not work for you when you go to the 70.3 distance. That may not work for you when you do the full Ironman. You see how I'm like telling you what you're going to do
I
without
don't,
what you're going
I
to do?
don't know if I could do
Or
it.
you don't know today because you have not and you haven't trained. However, I just believe that you want to, I think, are you training again for the race?
No, I'm not training again for the race. My children, I'm putting them in they have a kids version, so I'm gonna help them
Ah,
train to do that, and then see how they do, and then maybe the year
the year
after.
after. Okay. Okay.
But
Well,
at this moment, I have checked it off the list.
was it just a bucket list and that's it?
Well, it was. I mean,
Okay.
it's so funny. I have work meetings and people are like, "Oh, send a picture." I send my finisher picture every time. Like for then at least for a year, I'm going to claim it because even though it was a shorter distance, it's really a lot of like mental fortitude, to be able to be successful in finishing it. And my body wanted to shut down. Like it was hard. I did not train properly, you know what I'm saying? And so the people I actually met, one of my daughter's friends' moms was there. She finished first in her age group. So I think, awarded her a prize at the end because she was one of the finishers the first finishers, I think in the age 30 age group. But to be that disciplined and that trained to be able to complete first, it's hard, you know? So I think now that I'm more educated and realize what's really necessary to do your best, I don't know if I'm ready.
Well, I'm about to make you ready. Look at me telling the big sister what she about to do. Please.
Shanta,
So I
teach
think we should pick a race and let's pick a race. And it doesn't have to be on the weekend that your kids will be racing, but I think you owe it to yourself to try again.
I love your motivation. It is not a no. It is I aspire to do that with you.
Okay. And if not this year, I've been trying to get your ism, Sasha Monique Wheeler. Yes, I am calling Sasha Monique Wheeler out on this podcast because she's been saying that she wants to do a triathlon and will train ish. So
If
we
my
haven't,
husband does it, we're gonna have matching outfits. I'm gonna tell her we're gonna, we're gonna do it together.
I like that. I like that. So we're thinking about doing this race in Tallahassee because they have I think it's the Red Rocks Hills or something in Tallahassee.
Okay.
We figured going back to Tallahassee would have such,
Oh. When is
some,
that?
I think we're going to do it in 2025.
Okay, 25.
Mhm.
25 is down the line.
It's down
Okay.
the line. So it gives you time.
Mashana, how many do you do in a year?
This is not my interview, it's yours.
Okay.
I think it depends. The true answer to that is it just depends. When I first started doing races, I was only able to afford one race a year because they're so expensive.
Yeah.
And then I think in 2017, I was able to start doing more than one race a year. And then 2020 happened. And then after that, I think 2 to 3 a year is typically my average. This year coming up, I have some races planned that I will be doing that will probably range from short to mid to long to short to I don't know. So
Well,
I
I
hope that answers your
appreciate
question.
no, it does, and I appreciate the conversation only because, you hit this space and this age, and if
Mhm.
you are fortunate enough to still have your parents are also still aging, and we get to a space where you realize just how precious movement and the
Mm.
ability to be active really is. And just like they say, you never know when you're going to pick your child up for the last time. You never know when you're doing the last cartwheel of your life. You
Yeah.
never know when is the last time you have the ability to run. And so I have been very just cognizant of the gift of movement. And
Hmm.
so it's made me really want to reprioritize like how active I am. So that's why I said it's not a no.
And
It's not.
that's the reason why I still try, is because as long as I have breath in my body and my body can move, I will try. There are people who are in their 90s still doing this. And I think because you give your body an opportunity to move in different ways. Swimming, it's a full body. All of it is full body, but swimming is less impact. Then you have the bike, which is also less impact, and then you have to run. But for some people who can't run the whole time, you can interject run walk, or you can just walk, speed walk. There's many ways to get to the finish line, and I think for me the goal is to never lose the joy in it, but also to take everything that I learn and continue to do it, because movement is important. And being um, a woman from the South, Black woman from the South, who has struggled with nutrition from the standpoint, not even just nutrition from what to eat during a race, but just what to eat to fuel my body. Because I grew up on very rich foods. And so having to train my mind differently and really eat to just be here, not eating for comfort,
Mm,
has been a thing, and seeing how um, older generations in my family haven't had the opportunity to keep moving because of weight challenges. That's something that I've always struggled with, my weight fluctuating in and out. I've always felt like I've been active, but I'm still learning about my body. And
Mhm.
recently, I've learned that the traumas that we've experienced carries very differently in our body. And I've realized that I carry trauma that I am working on in my midsection. It's not that I am, it looks like I am bigger than what I am, but also realizing that my vagus nerve has been disrupted through challenges. And so exercising is a form of rehabilitation for that. Now, all that is a lot because I've just learned that within the past 2 years and just kind of really working with that, but just learning how mental health plays into being able to work out. It mentally restructures your brain. And so I want to be able to be in a position where I can be around for as long as I'm gifted. And I feel like I can do that with this sport. That was a long answer.
I
A
love
minute
it.
and 30 seconds to be exact.
No,
My
and I
gosh.
think that many can relate. I mean, I definitely can relate. And I think women and our relationship with our bodies is very universal. You know, it
Mhm.
may be that you know, went through childbirth, right? And your new post baby body isn't what you want it to be, isn't the way that you feel pressured you should look. It may be that you still feel like you're prime, you know, you were sizes smaller than you were, you know, but it is a journey to practice radical acceptance, right, of who you are, what you look like, and you know what you're supposed to look like,
Mhm.
but to focus more so on how you feel, how you honor your body, how you fuel your body, like you said. Because I still don't think I'm fueling my body right. And I think I watched when you trained for your first try, you spoke about when you were blogging or vlogging, you spoke a lot about, you know, fueling your body. I never heard that term before, right? In terms of really being conscious about the thing that you eat and how it energizes you. And so that's a whole ministry in itself, you know? So I really think that it is relatable, right? To really like understand yourself, understand your body, and to learn to honor it for what it is.
Absolutely. Wow, that's a long time ago. I don't even remember those vlogs or blogs I used to do and just wasn't consistent with it. And then look at here. And now as my earring just,
Well, it was amazing,
oh,
Michanda, because you know, you did that thing. And I did not, you know, I wonder if you planted the seed for me to want to do it because I sure did follow. I think you did. Because
it
how
wasn't
long
giving me
ago
my
was
credit.
that?
Oh, my
Listen,
gosh.
sometimes we just got to get there, okay? We arrived at the point. But I do think that you made me interested in the journey. You
Mhm.
made me feel like I could understand and learn the process. Now I didn't follow your steps and your rigor and your discipline. However, I do think you planted that seed, like, okay, bike, swim, run. I could do those things. So
Yeah.
thank you.
So
Thank
this
you.
is, you're welcome. You're welcome. This is actually my 10th year.
Sheesh.
So technically, I'm still in my 10th training season. Like my first race would have been in June of 2020. I mean, of 2014. So in June of 2024, that would be my first official, like my 10th official year, like actually doing races. And it's been a nostalgic feeling. Like certain things are popping up. Like the first time I did my swim trial with Y Try, the first time I did my first time trial. And I look at those times and my times right now, and I'm like, ooh, girl, your run has taken
Your
a
times ain't
deep
too
dive.
shabby though.
But I think you have to honor where you are at each season
Yeah.
and just give yourself grace. And so, yeah, it's 10 years for me. And I hope that I have 40 more that I'm able to, do this. and bring more people along the way, especially big sisters like you, which we have some big sisters who've done triathlons before, like Michanda Ali. Uh,
Michanda.
she's amazing, right? Yeah. So like we have and Jen Price. Uh, so we have people who do it, but it's really just changing the narrative about what we can do despite some obstacles that we may face as women of color, and a lot of that is from our hair because we like to look good and we don't want to not look good, but we can't allow that to hinder us. You know, Having babysitters for people who want to try and be like, hey, I'll watch your kids for you while you go do something for you. Granted, having to be within proximity that matters, and just showing up. And maybe that's what we do. We put a call out on our listserv and be like, hey, who wants to do a try? And we just show up. That could
That
be
would be amazing.
that could be a whole thing.
It would be amazing.
That could be a thing. Let's work on that. We'll work on that. But in the interim, besides nutrition, because you said that it's not just about water. What are some other takeaways that you would share with a beginner who's considering or contemplating trying?
Don't go at it alone. I think that I think there was purpose, right? Because I didn't want to be deterred and I didn't want to get imposter syndrome when I felt like other people were doing more. So I stayed to myself. But I think that there is power in the community, and being able to learn from other people, to push forward with other people, to be encouraged, because I only felt that at the race, whereas I could have felt that along the way in the process. So I think that would be my advice. I would also advise, when you bike, don't bike just on flat, like inclines. Um, and let's see what I would. I think the short distance though was to my advantage. I think the triathlon that I selected was a good introduction to the sport. So I highly recommend that. I think those would be my top um, recommendations. Yeah, community, making sure that you apply some fidelity around where the variety of where you're training, and then picking something that is attainable, for your skill level.
Well, you heard it from Miss Attayah Ali Milton. Get yourself in community. Don't train alone. Have various areas in which you train because it matters. And just remember, it's not just about water. Attayah, thank you so much for coming. And I feel like, to see another Beta Alpha chapter member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, all the way from the highest of seven hills of Florida Agriculture and Mechanic University, just
Amazing.
warms my heart, especially that there's not many people of color doing the sport. And so I think the new number is now there's 8% of Black folks that do this sport. And so although the number has increased within the last couple of years, it's still not enough. And so thank you for being here. We got one more part that we will try to get you in and out. It's called rapid fire. And so
Okay.
rapid fire is just real quick. And yeah, just real
All
quick.
right.
We'll
I'm
let it
ready.
go. When you didn't feel motivated, what was it that allowed you to push through to get it done?
When I didn't feel motivated, like in training, this is not
Sure.
rapid.
Training or race?
Choosing myself, right? This is for me. It's completely selfish. And so that's what, right? I wanted to do that for me, and to make my children proud.
Awesome. Favorite place to bike in Philadelphia?
Boathouse Row.
Hmm. Favorite thing about triathlon overall?
The camaraderie, and seeing so many Black women athletes.
What was your go-to workout and what does it look like? Like, do you like hit training? Do you like CrossFit? Like, what's your favorite go-to workout?
My favorite go-to workout, honestly, would just be like a 3 minute, I mean 3 minute, 3 mile jog. I think would be my go-to, like a good jog, or a swim, just doing laps.
Mhm. Dream training partner, alive or historical?
You girl.
Oh, shut up. We're gonna make that happen then. Um, Morning or evening workouts?
Morning.
Okay. Favorite music artist?
Ooh, SZA came to mind immediately.
Okay, okay. If you can remember, what was a favorite sign that you saw out on the race course?
My favorite sign. Oh, like somebody was holding up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about a sign, but what really stands out to me are all the like men that were out there that were saying like, "You go girl, you got this." Like they were really like ringing bells. Like I can't get that out of my mind.
I love it. And what was your favorite your first post-race meal?
Ooh, my post-race meal.
Like, what did you eat after the race, after you finished?
I went to the tent, so I remember that, and they had like they had bagels, they had all this delicious pineapple and all this fruit, and there was yogurt, and that's what I remember chowing down on right after the race.
Okay. And I usually don't let people leave without answering this question, but I don't know
I
if
have an
you
answer.
if you experienced this yet. It's usually, do you pee on the bike or get off and take a proper pee break? But
Oh,
but you probably haven't peed on the bike yet. So I'm going to switch it a little bit and ask you, did you pee on yourself before you got in the water?
no, I got there early enough to go to the bathroom, and I'm like a
Okay.
camel, so I didn't have to worry about that at all.
Okay, good. Because then, some people usually pee in their wetsuit, but this is your first race. So I just wanted to you're like, I am so,
No.
they pee in their wetsuit. I almost asked you, did you pee in the pool? But then everybody would be like, oh,
You just made my eyes open. I didn't realize that was a thing. Hopefully nobody peed in the pool because it was short distance.
yeah, we don't ever know because chlorine, but whatever. Anyway, with that said, whenever you try beginner's luck, you truly always win. I hope you've enjoyed this bonus edition listening to Attayah Ali Milton's first time story where she got to try with uh, the Philadelphia Women's Tribe, which is coming up. So be sure to check that out if you're looking for a race that's women's only. And with that, my name is Michanda Shines, and we are going to be out for now. Peace. Bye, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode. We need your help so we can continue to try at TBL. So for more information on where you can find and subscribe to this podcast, visit www.trybeginnersluck.com. And don't forget, whenever you try beginner's luck, you always win.